So, our monthly theme is celebrate. And I think of celebrate as a verb, obviously. And I want to read you what I looked up about the word celebrate. It's interesting. Interesting, Nancy. Oh my God. To perform publicly and with appropriate, to perform publicly and with appropriate rites, meaning all of the ceremony that goes along with celebrating, right? Another one, to acknowledge with a social gathering or enjoyable activity like your wedding. To celebrate the coming together of two people as one, to understand that love is at the center of everything, right? Another one, to commemorate, observe, honor, mark, salute, recognize, remember, drink to, and toast. All of that is celebrate. I like this one. To enjoy oneself, to make merry, to have fun, to have a good/wild time, to rave, for the younger people in the room, to rave, party, reveal, revel, actually, roister. Anybody know that word? To roister, to carouse. We all know that word. To carouse, to whoop it up, to live it up, and to paint the town red. All of that is to celebrate. So I want to ask you a question. When was the last time you painted the town red? And I don't mean like pink. Like, when was the last time you painted the town red? That you really whooped it up? When was the last time you really drank? I would say last Saturday night. When was the last time you really celebrated life at such a high level of consciousness that you just moved into that energy of celebrate? Last night. Who said that? Good for you. Talk to me later. So, what color would you think you painted your town? Like, if it's, paint the town red, what color do you think you normally paint your town? What color do you normally paint your life? Jeff, you look, this looks painful to you. I look down, Jeff's like, what? So what color, Jeff, do you usually paint your town? Green. Okay, green. I can't even, what? Hot pink. Okay, that's getting closer to red. I like hot pink. What else? Yell them out. Green. What's the green? Green. Okay, green is in nature? Not like in, that guy from Disney or Warner Brothers with the ears and the Shrek. Shrek, that's it. What color? John Livesey, what color do you paint your town? Bright blue. Bright blue, okay. Natalie? White. Rainbows. Okay, good. You're gay. So good. So for me, it would be when Ethel Merman takes over, we're in trouble. For me, I would say that I mostly paint my world in a blue. Not blue as in depressing, but in a kind of a beautiful sea blue, and it's very, very mesmerizing, and it's very spiritual. It's very calm most of the time. So when I think of this idea of painting the town red, I actually think of painting my blue a more vibrant blue, because I don't really identify with red. But when I bring the red into the blue, guess what color I get? Purple, which is really my favorite color. Yet I tend to paint my world blue. And I very now and then, I'm trying to be honest, I occasionally, that's the word, yes, I wish it was often, bring red in. I bring the red in. But the truth is, you all following this color analogy? The truth is, I am purple. You are purple. We are all purple, because purple is the passion of life, that color itself. So when I think about how am I really painting my life, how am I painting my world, what color vibrates through me, it really would be a purple. The reds and the blues and probably the greens. I don't think green's in purple. I still honor your green, though. So in Scotland, we were walking around. No, this was in England. In London, we were walking around, and Will pointed me to this thing that was on a wall. And I looked at it, and I went, oh, that's cool. And then about an hour later, he pointed it to me again, and it was a little sticker on a part of the wall. And it was just all this, and we kept finding it. And so finally, I took a picture of it to bring in here today to show you. So here we go. Nope, talk title is coming later. But God, just go past it fast. There you go. You have always had the power to change the world. I hope one day you believe that. And this is by M.L. Conrad, whoever that is. So it's very interesting. Walking around the world in your life, you can miss a lot of stuff, don't you think? Why do you think that is? Why do you think you don't notice pretty much everything? Because your mind is too busy dealing with what's in your mind to actually be able to see what's right in front of you sometimes. So it was very interesting walking the streets of London, and we clocked like 8 to 10 miles a day just walking in London and in Scotland, and seeing all these beautiful things, but being present to them, like John was talking about last week, being present in the moment. And when this came up for about the fourth time, and I finally took a picture of it, I thought, you have always had the power to change the world. I hope one day you believe that. For me, what that means is I have always had the power to change my world. And I hope someday I live that. And I mean that for all of us. Every single one of us has the power to change the world we are living in. To change the world we are living in, not to change the world. The world you are living in. You get to experience this world any way you want. You get to celebrate this world any way you want. Now, we flew over there to do 2 celebrations. To celebrate Natalie and Matthew, marrying, coming together in love, and to celebrate Nora, because we brought her ashes with us. For me, to celebrate is to unleash an energy within me and allow it to flow as me. Celebrate means allowing, getting out of the way and allowing that thing that I am to actually live me. Because when I get involved sometimes, my mind sometimes gets involved and starts changing it up and starts reacting to out here, which means I'm not allowing the truth to just flow through me. Celebrate. So at the wedding, we had an amazing time. I will tell you, though, it's probably the most nervous I've ever been at a point in a wedding. I love weddings. I love to do them. I love to write them. I have such a great time. But they wanted Mathalie. There's your new name. Yep, Mathalie. They wanted to do the Scottish tying of the knot. Well, I had done one, but we did it in American. They tied it up. We were done. But Natalie and Matt are both like directors and writers, so Natalie was very clear what she wanted, how it should be. So we rehearsed it, and so it was a beautiful piece of her wedding gown and a beautiful piece of his kilt, and each of them got one. They'd shake hands. Each one got one on their arm, and then I'd have to get it in a perfect position to tie a knot at the bottom, bring the knot to the top, pull the 2 pieces out, let them grab those 2 pieces, and then after I said some beautiful things, they would take their hands out of this and just walk, and the knot would miraculously appear right here. That was nerve-wracking. Literally, I was like, I can't screw this up. I love them so much. And I'm standing in front of all these Scottish people and some people that flew over from LA who will totally judge me if I screw this up. I was like, this is not going to work. So I really rehearsed it with them, but we had a lot to do, so we had to kind of rehearse it quick, and it sort of worked two out of 3 times maybe, something like that. So next morning I wake up, I'm like, I'm not good with 2 out of 3 times. It has to be perfect. It has to be perfect. And I'm like having this angst. So I grab Will and Emma, my son and his girlfriend. I said, guys, I need you to come in. I need to do this wedding knot. And Will was like, I'm not getting married. I was like, I'm not marrying you, you idiot. Always loving. I said, just shake her hand, just stand there. So I do it, and we get it right once. Then it screws up. I'm like, oh my God. And Will says, Dad, here's the problem. you're not taking it here. And if you want the white, if you got us, he figured it all out. And he said, do it like that. So then I did it 3 times perfectly. And it was great. But still, when I got to the point in the wedding, Will says to me, hey, Dad, it's like the first time I've ever seen your hands shake. I was like, oh, they were not shaking. He went, no, they really were. I was like, no, they weren't, Will. He says, Dad, your hands were shaking. I was like, well, then I'm not perfect, am I? My hands weren't shaking. But why do I bring that up? Oh, so we're celebrating this whole beautiful wedding, and there's still a part of me that, when we get to the reception, there's still a part of me that hasn't brought enough red in. The red just hasn't come totally in because there was still Nora's ashes. And I realized that I was 1 foot in one world, 1 foot in another world. So we're at the reception, and it's been a glorious day, the most magnificent day. And they start to do a dance called the Ceilidh, which is a Scottish line dance, sort of? Traditional Scottish dance. And I'm a dancer, right? I really like to dance. But there was a part of me I was like, well, and somebody grabbed me and said, come on, you're going to do the Ceilidh. And I watched. Now, there's a video online. Did we get the video pumped for today, Thor? We didn't. Okay. So you can see it online. I sent it in, but we couldn't get it up here. I was going to show it to you all. I watched it, and I watched my body go from blue to purple. I watched the red come in, and there was a moment I was like, what are those Celtic dancers? I'm like, and when I finished, and we danced for I think a couple hours. We just kept dancing. Every dance. Come on, let's dance. Come on, let's dance. I just danced the night away. Had the most amazing time. Forgot everything other than this energy that was saying, come and do what's right in front of you to do. And the reason I bring this up is because you have that type of thing right in front of you to do every single day. And I think sometimes we don't notice it. We don't notice the sign that's right there saying, dance, live, celebrate this. Even if it's something that seems that you don't want to celebrate it, there's still some aspect of it that is celebratory. Bless you. And so this dancing kept going on and on and on, and I just had the most magnificent time. I walked off the stage, and some older gentleman, I think it was your uncle, came up to me and said, it's so wonderful to see a real dancer up there. I was like, oh, thank you. And then he pointed to someone and said, did you see? I was like, now I wasn't sure if he was kidding me or what. He said, and you were good. But it was just hearing him say that to me and going to this place of, oh yeah, and then it's not me. I'm like, you know what? It doesn't matter. I was so purple in all of that. And then we went to London, and let me do the title of my talk. The title of my talk today is Get Ready. When we went to London, I think I spent the whole time getting ready for for Scotland, and getting ready for the event. But my mind was also apprehensive about taking Nora's ashes over to Scotland and revisiting Scotland because it was the place where our family was 5 years ago, the 4 of us. And it was such an amazing trip, but to this day, it is still the most amazing place we have ever visited, the 4 of us. And going over there without her, but with her. And finding the perfect place, although we kind of had a sense of where we were going to do it. And I thought about, when I was thinking about this talk, I was thinking about the idea of what our minds are so precious. Our minds, we get to use them to create everything in our life. You know that, right? Everything that is in front of you, you have put there on some level, by some means. Your mind has created all of it, and it certainly has created your relationship to it, your experience of it. But before anything is created, the mind is in some state of being ready to create, getting ready to observe, getting ready to whatever it is you're going to do. And I thought about my mind, and I thought about what was my mind in ready for going over to this to this experience. So this picture that Barbara found is really great because I'm going to tell you a little story. Probably the most embarrassing moment in my life, which is when I was in high school, and I thought for some odd reason, and most of you know my proclivity in water, to join the swim team, the diving team. Never told you this, Craig, since we have a bronze medalist from the Olympics here in diving. I'm still telling this story. So I had to climb up to dive in the high dive, and they wanted to see, how, in the first day, it was climb up and let's just see what you have to start with. So I didn't give it a lot of thought, and I climbed up the ladder, but halfway up the ladder, I was getting nauseous, really nauseous. And I just kept climbing, and here's all boys Catholic high school. I was already the dancer in a family of football players. So I was like, this is going to be kind of my butch moment. And I'm going to climb up, although I didn't know that word back then. Climb up, and I got to the back of the diving board, and I was crippled. I couldn't move. I was paralyzed. But I somehow made it out there, and as I got halfway out there, I threw up. In front of the entire Father Judge High School swim team, right? And the priests that were running it, very compassionate men. I threw up. Well, now it's a little slippery. Just saying. You've never heard this story, have you? He's shocked. So there I am. Now it's a little slippery. Now I have slid and I have fallen, and I'm sitting in the middle of it. And now I'm of the diving board and the stuff that was on it. And I'm sitting there holding the diving board, and the instructor's going, just jump, just slide off. And I'm like, so while you may think that was all the embarrassing part of this story, that wasn't the embarrassing part of this story. The embarrassing part was when it took 3 of them to come up and take me down. I never went off the diving board. So why do I tell you that most embarrassing story? Because the title of my talk is Get Ready, right? When you are at the bottom of, I wish that was there, the ladder, right? Your mind is doing something. So much so that sometimes your mind is doing something to the point where it affects your body. Well, right now in your life, your mind is doing something. Your mind is thinking about something. Your mind is preparing you for something. The degree in which you use your mind to know only the truth about whatever it is you are contemplating will determine whether you end up being Craig, diving and winning a bronze, or me, throwing up and being carried off. So it's the get ready part that's actually even more important than the dive. So I'm here today to tell you that what are you preparing in your mind to have happen in your life? In this month of Celebrate, and I have a great Ernest Holmes quote. He says this, "Man is conscious mind. We recognize life is a conscious state." So you are conscious mind, and you recognize that this is a live state of awareness. It is the only attribute of mankind that makes us volitional or self-choosing. Consequently, it is what makes us spiritual beings. The fact that you can think, the fact that your mind is the greatest tool you will ever have, the fact that the way you use your mind creates the way your life unfolds, that's what makes you God. That's what makes you the spiritual being you are. Just that. Not the body, not how you look, not all that stuff. All that stuff comes from how you're using your mind. And then he goes on to say, the conscious mind of mankind is the contemplator. Now just think about that for a second. The conscious mind of mankind is the contemplator. So my question to you today is, what are you contemplating? Because when you're contemplating, you're readying yourself. What are you readying your mind for? Are you ready to celebrate? Are you readying your mind to celebrate everything that is happening to you. And I do mean everything. We would do well when we are having a challenge to celebrate the challenged. Did you hear what I said? We would do well when we are challenged to celebrate the person who is being challenged, not get caught up in the challenge. Because if you get caught up in the challenge, you will live the challenge. But if you remember that you are that which can deal with anything that's coming your way, now you're celebrating who you are and not, complaining about who you're not or what's not happening for yourself. And when you ready your mind, the Christians talk about this thing, are you prayed up? That's what being prayed up is. When your mind is always celebrating the truth of who you are, now you're prayed up. Something shows up, I know who I am. I don't need to get involved in this. No, I see it. That's what happened for me 10 years ago, and it's now 10 years since I had that journey of stage 4 cancer. I celebrated me. I celebrated who I was. I knew what was mine to do in that instance of life. And therefore, I stand here today totally fine. And someone said the other day to me, so you're in remission. I was like, I am not in remission. I don't believe in remission. I believe in I am pure health, period. I had a cold, I lost the cold. I had cancer, I lost the cancer. Period. End of sentence. Do I want to live my life thinking that I'm readying myself for this to happen again? I'm ready. Oh, I did it before. I know how to do this. I don't want to know how to do this again. Ever. Ever. Nor should you. So the whole point of my talk today is for you to take a look at your mind and find out what you are getting ready for. What are you getting ready for in life? Somebody asked me about retiring, and I said, you know what? I'm not going to retire ever. I may retire certain things that I no longer want to do, but I'm not going to retire. What is retire? What am I retiring to do? But I can retire things, but I, as a person, will not retire. That's me getting my mind ready to consistently live my life at full throttle till the moment it's over. So this week, I want you to start each day readying your mind for something that will perhaps paint the town red. I want you to spend every morning, just for a moment, I want you to decide what you are ready for. I don't want you to let the world tell you what you can possibly expect. Totally different mindset. I want you to literally tell the universe what you are ready for. You ready for more success? Tell the universe. Tell yourself. You ready for a more creative flow? Tell the universe. You ready to find that soulmate? Tell the universe. You ready to be done with this one? Tell the universe. Whatever it is, wake up each day this week and see how you feel by next Sunday. If you spend every single morning readying your mind for what's about to happen, because this is your decision. This is what you decide is going to come forward in your life. So I had an amazing, amazing time away. I always love when I go away because I come back with so much more passion for this work. I come back with so much more desire to spread the word that my mind is powerful and so is yours. And life can be whatever we decide it's going to be. But we have to decide. Get ready, my soul. I am diving in. I am no longer sliding off the side of a diving board. I now can, by the way, climb to the top of a high dive and dive in. I choose not to. But I have, and I can. And I can dive off of any high dive, metaphorically, in any aspect of my life, because I know who I am, and I know who you are. Namaste. Thank you.